Okay, so we're about to rehouse my big female Theraphosa stirmi. I got this one as a sling a couple of years ago, and she's definitely in need of a rehouse. I thought she was in pre-molt, so I was holding off a little bit, but it's to the point where she really needs to be in a bigger area. So what I found here is I went to Target and found these hefty high rise, I think they're called, or high stack. I can put it in the notes. But I was looking for something that offered more floor space and a little bit of depth. And what I like about these is the tops actually have a couple inches of clearance on them. So when this goes on, it gives it a little more depth than most of the stuff I found for my terrestrials. Now this is a species that'll eventually be getting a really nicely decorated tank. It's just for the time being, she's not full grown. And I've been doing a lot of work in the tarantula room trying to figure out who's getting new cages and moving things around. So I'm really not at a point where I'm ready to buy the big tank yet. Plus I'm going to probably have it custom made. So for the time being, this will be good because it offers her a lot more floor space. What I've gotten here is a mixture of topsoil and vermiculite, and I've had a couple people ask me why I add the vermiculite. For the species that required a little moisture, if you watch right here, when I pour the water in, it immediately sinks down through. If anybody's used topsoil or some of the other substrates that are available out there, you'll find that the water can puddle on the top of it, which kind of leaves a mess. I like this because it filters right down through. The only issue happens if they web it up a lot. The web is waterproof, so it keeps it from going down. So what I'll do is just scrape an area off, re-wet it, and keep it nice and moist for them. So what we're going to try to do here, and we'll see how well this is going to work because she's a big girl, is I have a Tupperware here. We're going to try to open the top, just carefully drop this on top of her. Again, these guys have really, really nasty hairs. I like when people go online and say that, the hairs aren't a big deal. The problem is with some of these New World species is the hairs, you actually become more sensitive to them over time. So I'm trying to protect myself because I don't want to ever come to the point where I can't be around these guys because the hairs are too itchy. And I do tend to be allergic to just about everything, so I got to be careful. So I've got gloves on, long sleeve shirt. I'm hoping not to get hair here because that would not be pleasant. So if you take a peek at her, she is quite large. I'm just going to go ahead and set this right on top of her. All right. So far, so good. I'm waiting for her to scramble. The problem is with the smaller cages trying to get them out, it doesn't leave a lot of maneuvering room. This is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. Alright, so that's out of the way. We'll just drop this in here for now. And keep in mind, she has not kicked hair at me since she's been in here. And when you'll notice, once I get her in here, hopefully it'll go easily, you'll notice that she's quite bald on the abdomen. That's because they will kick hairs around their surroundings. So anytime you're doing maintenance with these guys, you want to make sure you protect yourself. Always wear gloves. Easy, girl. Shot of her. Is it coming through?
Yes.
You want to keep the light on?
Lights on.
Now this thing on the bottom is about 8 inches. So you can see she's probably pushing about 7.5 inches or so. The big male that I had actually just passed away. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get him out to breed, but I had him for quite some time, and I estimate him to be about 8 inches or so. And after he passed away, I was able to get a good measurement on him, and he was actually 9.25. So I actually underestimated that one. But this is what you might not see here is this is a big, hefty spider. Much thicker than some of the other 7-inch ones. I'll be doing a Pamphobetus antinous later that's about the same leg span as this one, but not nearly as girthy. All right, so we're gonna go ahead, try to get her just easy. I've convinced myself that the soothing sound of my voice actually calms them down, which is probably not true, but there we go. All right. I'm going to cover this up immediately because there are all kinds of hairs in here. I'm going to get the cover ready. Now, she's being very calm. One thing that isn't mentioned about these guys, they're very large and they can move. They move very quickly. And a lot of times I don't hear it mentioned. They look, you see this big spider, you think it's probably cumbersome and slow. They actually, when they get moving, they are very fast. She's Throwing up a little fret posture there. There you go, girl. So there she is. A lot more room in this one. I'm hoping to get a molt out of her, although she's still eating. They're little piggies. And you can see where she's kicked hair off both sides of her abdomen, but that was more to protect her enclosure. She hasn't actually kicked at me since this mulch. I think I got one kick out of her when I transferred her last time, so she's been very, very good. I will probably double up the water dishes to give them the extra moisture. And as you can see here, this mixture of vermiculite and topsoil is great for absorbing water, so I can keep it nice and moist for her. The hide is a large piece of cork bark, which luckily was curved, so it'll allow her some place to go in there, but she hasn't been using the hide since she hit about 4 or 5 inches or so. She's been out and about. So there you go, Theraphosis stirmi. That's my female. I'll be rehousing my male, but I'm not sure if I'll tape it, only because it's an extra distraction, but looking good. Not too happy right now, and we'll go ahead and cut this one. We're going to continue with rehousing some of my big girls. Again, this isn't so much a rehousing because she needs a new home, is that I'm trying to consolidate space a little bit, and this one added a bit of extra height. I really don't need her climbing, and she doesn't climb, so she doesn't need it. So what we're going to do is get her into something with a little bit more floor space, a bit less height, which will also allow me to make a little more space in my transfer room. When I picked these up, I was having a hard time finding something big enough to accommodate my bigger species. I kind of liked it. It wasn't too excited about the depth because I really didn't need that much depth. Plus, this thing's literally a tub of like a whole bag of topsoil, which is very, very heavy and cumbersome. These are going to be a little bit lighter. And this one, when I made it, I just put straight topsoil in with very little vermiculite. And it just, when I try to moisten it down, it doesn't percolate through like I want. This one here will have the vermiculite topsoil mix, which means when I wet it down, the water will sink right in. It'll hold it and not puddle up on top. I also, when I moved her cork bark, which was over here, found some mold underneath it, which I'm not too pleased with. So what we're going to try to do is just carefully cup her and just transport her over. She's actually been, this is the third time I've had to move her. She's been pretty good. As a juvenile and young adult, she did a lot of burrowing when she was smaller, but she's been out and about lately. Did I ever say the species? It's Pamphobedius antinous. I don't know if I ever said that. Stilly blue leg or... See if we can get her to put her butt in the air because it's her favorite defense posture. And I should have put my gloves on. I'm an idiot.
Is she kicking?
No. And again, I gave her a cork bark hide. I used up the last of my big giant piece of cork bark, which kind of stinks because the price just went up from $12 to $25. It was a huge piece though. So fortunately this is it, but she doesn't usually use her hide. So it's not a big deal. I gotta get my little brush, try to get her down. And for size, actually this is a good chance to get a size on her. She's kind of scrunched up. This thing is 6 inches tall and she's scrunched up a little bit. She's looking about 6.5, 7 inches or so. Try not to exaggerate. Come on, girl. Go down on the floor. I love when they just kind of like don't do what you want them to. They're not mean about it. Like, I don't know what you're doing, so. There you go. Have this ready, but there she love the look of these. It's really like a dark, rich brown, which will probably show up on camera with kind of the reddish brown seeding on the abdomen there. She hasn't been much of a hair kicker, which has been great, and she's an amazing eater. I honestly thought she was in pre-molt because of how big her abdomen was, but she's still eating. This is a species that's rumored to eat right through to the point where they molt. I haven't found that so much with mine. Mine have actually stopped eating at some point, but gorgeous, gorgeous species. You want to kick the light on? Or,
lights on.
Oh, lights on? Okay. Oh, okay. Couldn't see because likely. So there she is, Pamphobedius antinous, continuing my rehousing of my big female. So I've got her and the stirmi. I'll put these together in one video just to avoid the boredom factor. Gorgeous, gorgeous girl. Really love this one, and eventually this will probably be one that I try to mate, but she's not quite there yet. She needs to put on some size still. These guys supposedly can hit 8, 9 inches easy. Right now, she's obviously a healthy about 7.
Well,